Hi friends and new friends, I'm Tao of Satoshi and you're watching Cash Alternative TV. Recently it came to my attention that a video had been released by a couple of potential investors in Dash. Now these investors had some concerns about Dash, which they outline in the video. As a community builder, it gives me pleasure to explain Dash to people who may not fully understand it. Let's get to the video. The first concern that these potential investors have is the beginnings of Dash. Let's watch.
So let's begin with, let's go from the start. So the biggest question that happened was the beginning of Dash. So the story was that there was an Instamine, and an Instamine is when you create a lot of the coins from the very, very beginning that basically do not follow the spirit of a well-distributed coin supply in the beginning of a coin. So Dash had that criticism, and Dash did try to squash that criticism, saying that this was by accident, we didn't mean to do it, but it's okay now.
And I guess, something important to understand is, why is a fair emission valuable or important? And the reason is because the miners need to be incentivized with a fair emission schedule to go and put that coin out on an exchange, so ordinary users that aren't miners can get their hands on it. When you have an unfair emission schedule, it just leads to all sorts of mess and disincentives and people holding large amounts of coins that can do serious damage to the project without even realizing, regardless of their intentions.
Well guys, let me put those fears to rest. Dash did have an Instamine, and it's been well documented. However, now, 3 years later, Dash has a thriving ecosystem with a strong mining network, a robust full node network, and incentives to get things done via the budget system. Also, the high emission from the beginning has led to a super dedicated core team whose sole mission it is to create an exceptional currency, a digital cash for the world to use. They then cite a post on Bitcoin Talk posted by a Monero fan.
Make sure everyone's aware it is somebody who is a fan of Monero. Again, that doesn't change facts. Facts are facts, regardless of who writes the facts down.
You're absolutely right. I believe the facts do speak for themselves. Please, let's see what you have there.
Evan was looking for people from the start for it to be a for-profit venture.
Yeah. So this was not December 2013.
This is December 2013, at the very end of December. So probably,
and this is a mail that went to the Bitcoin Dev mailing list. So it's the Bitcoin Dev mailing list archives are cached in various places. So you can go read the email, and it's from Evan. And he talks about how him and Kyle are starting up this Hawk Financial Services thing, and they have started, and they're looking to basically launch an altcoin. And it's going to add useful services to the crypto coin ecosystem. Now that alone should be an indicator of the fact that there is some planning around there's some planning around what they want to do. This is December 2013. This is not them suddenly coming up with the idea in 2014 when it launched. We're talking about many months before, several months before it launches. And the fact that that exists, that post exists, is indicative of the fact that there was a plan. And that's really you can make mistakes, but if you have a plan and you plan it from the beginning, then you can't later on go, oh, it was accidental.
You can't? I planned on having chicken wings last night, but I accidentally got heartburn. I think this criticism might be reaching a bit, as anyone clearly knows that just by having a plan doesn't mean mistakes are not going to be made. That's just human. Evan Duffield, Dash's lead dev, sure did accomplish his goals of bringing a cryptocurrency with useful features to the ecosystem, with PrivateSend and InstantSend and the masternode network with investment opportunities. At least that part went according to plan. They then go on to outline what exactly happened in the first 6 hours of Dash. They are concerned something shady was going on.
The next link talks about how Evan went out and said that there are problems and the launch was going to be delayed. And this isn't a problem that I've seen in other crypto coins as well, because a lot of people learn from what people did before and they became rich and successful, and they try to mimic it. So this was, as far as I know, the first time that the lead developer has promised the community that he is not going to launch it tonight, and then within 6 hours, it launches.
Okay, as you can see here from these posts from the beginning, Evan did say he would not launch in the next hours, but he also said that he would post the time when he was ready. And he did that. As you can see, he's posted that it was going to be at 11 p.m. He left 2 hours and 10 minutes for anyone keen enough who wanted to join in the action. I wish I would have been there. We learned one of the investors, named FluffyPony, has an unusual phobia.
And the scary thing is that that top graph, I mean, we're talking about 1.6 million coins mined in the first 8 hours. That is a frightening number of coins that are mined.
I can't help you there. There are medical professionals who can help you with that sort of thing. The other potential investor, Vays, has other, more abstract concerns.
But the spec of what the finality of those coins will be wasn't even released till after the coin was launched. So that's another thing that's pointed out with the links here, is that the day after mining had begun, that's when the full spec of what the coin will be actually came out. And then the day after that, the name was changed from Xcoins coin. And that just seems weird to me. Like, within 1 week, you've decided to already rebrand, and it just feels like, well, just to make new people years from now harder to find the very beginnings of what really happened. Yeah. I mean, that's my only real explanation. I don't know what else.
All I can say is, good for the people who mined this coin in the first 6 hours. Explanations and rebrands are not a cause for concern now, 3 years later, I can assure you. I hope I have allayed your concerns about Dash's beginnings oh so long ago. Next, I was happy to see that they had a clear understanding of Dash's masternode network.
Masternodes as a concept, they're kept quite general. So a masternode is this thing that you run, and it's kind of like a normal Dash node, but it can do other stuff too. And because you're doing all this other stuff, you get rewarded with a portion of the block reward.
Yes, that's exactly right. Dash's masternode network is great, with full nodes incentivized to perform services. It's led to a very robust network, the envy of other coins. They've even heard of Dash's innovations. First, they tried to explain PrivateSend.
And basically what happens is, you've got all these masternodes, and currently there are 7,000 or 8,000 of them, however many there are, and each of them have 1,000 Dash locked up. And then if you want to send a transaction, you send it, and a randomly selected masternode receives the transaction, and then mixes with other transactions that have been sent to other masternodes, and eventually, with a whole bunch of cycles, new coins come out that are unrelated. Now, it's basically CoinJoin. The problem is that it's kind of a dodgy way to do CoinJoin.
I'm not going to bore our viewers here with the minute details of PrivateSend, but I will leave a link in the description to Dash's wiki, where I'm sure you will find that PrivateSend is not a dodgy form of CoinJoin. And no new coins are created in the process. Fluffy has an interesting theory on how to gain numerous coins and gain control of the masternode network.
If you want to take something off the internet, what do? Denial of service attack. We all know what denial of service attacks are. It's when a whole bunch of computers hammer this poor little machine on the internet, which then eventually gives up and just, shuts down or overloads or whatever. So if as a masternode operator, you want to earn a greater portion of the masternode reward of that 40%, all you have to do is take your competitors down. And you can do that with denial of service attacks, which are cheap and easy. And if you keep hitting your competitors, the other masternodes, with denial of service attacks, they will shut down, they will give up, they will dump their coins on the market. You'll be able to pick up those coins for cheap, and eventually you will own thousands of masternodes.
I can see why that would faze them, and as potential investors, I would suggest they try it if they really feel that it would work. The reality is it would be pointless to try and DDoS any masternode owner, because all they would have to do is move their masternode to another IP. They have 60 minutes to do so, and they won't lose their place in line. They will not get discouraged, and they will not dump their coins on the market. It would be a huge wasted effort to try this attack and simply have owners switch around IPs. No need to worry about this attack. How about this?
So we're going to, at the very least, in something like Dash, in that sort of system where your proof of work is literally uptime, you're going to end up with clustering and with a cabal of maybe 3 or 4 people owning all the masternodes. And how is that at all advantageous? How is it at all decentralized?
Right, and I agree with lots of that.
No, uptime does not lead to clustering. You don't have to worry about that. A cursory glance of Dash Nation Slack during the last 12.1 upgrade can attest to that. We have masternode owners from all over the world, all walks of life, and we all help each other out. It's great. Dash's network has never been more healthy. Tone admits his concerns may be controversial.
This is why we put out these videos. This is why we try and educate the community, even though some of the things we may say will be controversial.
Or just plain wrong. What do they know about InstantSend?
So InstantX is their claim of instant or sending instant transactions. It works in a very similar way to Green Address. Basically what happens is you send a transaction and a masternode picks it up, or a group of 3 masternodes pick it up, and they go, we guarantee this transaction because we have 1,000 Dash that we'll lose, or we'll lose a portion of it if we don't guarantee it. If all 3 masternodes cannot agree on the validity of the instant transaction, then it just falls back to normal proof of work. However, if all 3 or 2 of 3 or whatever their scheme is agree that this transaction is valid, then off it goes and it's instantly confirmed. The issue here is that a transaction is not final until it's confirmed on the blockchain, and you cannot fake that by having some people pony up money. What happens if I release 4 transactions, InstantX transactions that double spend, and I just target them at particular masternodes? The entire network cannot possibly have the same state. They can't have consensus on states. You can't have consensus on mempool. And so there's going to be at least some disagreement between masternodes as to which of those transactions are valid. And it's entirely possible that from a merchant perspective, they might see multiple transactions, or multiple merchants might see the same transaction or a double spend as valid because I've just sent it to different masternodes. And I mean, this is, these are not theoretical attacks. These are attacks that are trivial to make practical.
I'm really glad they mentioned this because it sounds scary, and I'm sure there are others out there who think this attack is possible. Fortunately, it's not. Once an InstantSend input has been locked, the network will not accept another transaction to another destination. Fluffy is right when he says a transaction is not final until it's confirmed on the blockchain, and that's why an InstantSend transaction isn't final until it's confirmed on the blockchain. And it's not considered final until there is at least one proof of work confirmation. As for targeting masternodes, this is simply not possible, as the quorum for each transaction is chosen by a proof of work hash. Further information can be found here. Has Fluffy tried this attack before?
And the criticism, by the way, when this gets brought up, because I have brought it up before and other people have brought it up before, the response to that criticism from Dash is, well, if it's so broken, then why don't you go ahead and prove it? Which
Well, you know what they say, actions speak louder than words. I guess that's just silly. Tone has some concerns about the DAO concept.
One of the ways they're trying to get people to use Dash is, and I'm going to show, these are all the sponsors. By the way, we are at TNABC, which is the annual conference in Miami. And I'll put this right to the camera, and you see Dash right there. Okay, so Dash is a sponsor of this event. And I have never seen, like, all this, anytime a token or a coin or money. Can you imagine the euro sponsoring a conference? Like the euro currency, the South African rand is sponsoring this conference.
It's ridiculous.
Like, it really does.
Yeah.
And they were also here last year
Yeah.
with a booth. And all the other coins that I've seen sponsor events and sponsor the tokens, like, that puts a huge question in my mind. Where is this money coming from?
Yeah.
Where is the motivation?
Okay. Well, Dash has what we call a decentralized autonomous organization. It's much more than a currency. It's a global organization. Members from all over the world are motivated to come together with the common goal of creating a digital cash for the world, bringing financial freedom worldwide. It's a hard concept for some to understand, as Fluffy demonstrates.
Yeah, I've been openly critical of stuff like this in the past and even recently, because I think can you imagine being appointed as the marketing director for the rand or the euro? Can you imagine, like taking out Google ads? Use the US dollar now, it's the best currency in the world. The whole idea is so ridiculous. People should use something like a currency because it is useful, because it's usable. Advertising is just the antithesis of what you're trying to accomplish here. And you're just providing like this central control structure, which is really what we're seeing develop in Dash, is a central control structure, which again is the antithesis of a decentralized currency.
So, advertising leads to a centralized control structure? Interesting theory. In my view, if you have something worth telling people about, you shouldn't hesitate. And Dash is definitely worth telling people about. It's a way to take power away from the people who have used it and place financial freedom back in the individual's hands. It's awesome, and its story should be told. They do understand, however, that Dash's DAO does incentivize people well.
They also have claims of governance, of a governance structure where masternodes vote. So the sponsorship here today, the money would have come from a portion of that masternode reward, which is then pooled for Dash expenses, and the masternodes voted, and they said, yes, let's spend a portion of these expenses on sponsoring this conference and having a booth. And like my issue there is, so we've already spoken how the masternode voting, or masternodes in general, could end up being owned by, or will end up being owned by a cabal of a few people. So what's the point of voting?
Right.
Like that's already stupid and like silly. Over and above that, like you've got this funding thing which they claim is amazing, but all you're doing is you're incentivizing people to come in and like pitch things that earn them money.
Dash's DAO and its governance are great. It incentivizes people from all over the world. It leads to a positive feedback loop, with investment bringing value, which leads to more investment, which leads to more value, and so on. It's definitely not stupid and silly. Towards the end of the video, Tone concedes an undeniable truth.
The coin has been double pumped as far as price is concerned, and it's actually one of the few coins that did. Could that be something? I don't know. I don't think so. That is unique in the space. Every other coin, usually only pumps once, and then it never reaches back to its high. Litecoin went all the way to 50, and now it's around $3. Never went back up. Ethereum was around $1, then it went to 20. It slowly fell, but it hasn't gotten back. Hasn't made a second all-time high. So Dash does have that.
Yeah, it's been very successful, despite constant attacks by certain competitors. I look forward to future growth. Tone has one last concern about Dash.
How can you claim to have a private cryptocurrency where the lead developers are public people?
Well, in my view, that's one of the strengths of Dash. Having a public lead developer who puts his personal reputation behind the coin can only be a good thing. Other projects feature developers with handles instead of real names, and for me that doesn't inspire confidence that this person is putting their personal reputation on the line. The fact that Evan works on a privacy-oriented coin is irrelevant here. Fluffy believes that Bitcoin may be enough for the world economy.
The one thing that I believe we need to bear in mind is, yes, sure, there's contention in the Bitcoin space, and it's entirely probable or possible, however you want to view it, that we will end up with a couple of projects surviving the next 5 to 10 years. But for the most part, for 99% of the stuff that is going to happen, Bitcoin's enough. And I think that, and that's not a Bitcoin maximalist view, that is just being practical.
Well, I respectfully disagree. Bitcoin has trouble coming to a consensus. They rely on third-party funding, and they have a development team that doesn't really seem to care too much about economics. Dash operates in stark contrast to that. The cryptocurrency space is still very young, and there's lots of market cap out there to be had. There's lots of time for another currency to show its dominance. Right now, that's not Bitcoin, it's Dash. Ask anyone who's tried to do a slow and expensive transaction recently. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope I cleared up some misconceptions about Dash, and I look forward to talking to these two gentlemen in the future. Until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember that Dash is a digital alternative to cash. Until next time, see you later.